In this video, we're going to build a mega menu and a multi-level drop-down menu in a header. If you find this video helpful, like and subscribe. And shameless plug, check out my VS Code course at vscodehero.com. The link will be in the description below. To get started, I have an indexed HTML file and a style.css file. And we'll start with the boilerplate. Let's just name this mega menu. We will be using Font Awesome, so I'm going to paste in the Font Awesome CDN. And then I'm also going to link to our style sheet. All right, now in the body, let's start with the header. We're going to use a header with the class of header. Within that, we're going to have an anchor with a class of logo, and we'll add the word logo inside of that. Of course, this isn't going to go anywhere. After that, we'll have a nav. Within the nav, we'll have a UL, the class of menu items, and then an LI, and an anchor within the LI with the class of menu item. All right, and then this isn't going to go anywhere, and we'll say home, and then Alt-Shift down arrow. We'll duplicate this 1, 2, 3, 4 times, so 5 total. All right, so we'll have the next one would be drop-down menu, and then mega menu, blog, and about. All right, let's go ahead and just save this and start live server and see what we have. All right, it's looking great so far. Let's keep going. After the header in the body, we're going to have a section. So let's add section with the class of section. Within that, an H1, and we'll say mega menu and multi-level drop-down menu. All right, save that. Let's go back. So we have that there. All right, let's get started on these styles. I'm going to paste in the global styles and we'll just go over these. So we're just importing a couple of fonts, Montserrat and Titanium Web. And then we're setting the margin and padding to 0, box sizing to border box. And then on the body, we're setting the font family to Montserrat, fallback of sans serif, background color is this dark blue, font color is this white, and then the minimum height of 100 VH. All right, so let's save this and take a look. Now we've got a blue background and it's looking a little bit different, but we've got a bit more to go. So let's work on the header styles. All right, I'll just make a note here. Header is where the header styles will go. We'll target the header. We're going to set the background. It's a bit of a lighter blue. We're going to set the position to relative. We're going to give it a max width of 80 VW. So 80% of the viewport width. The margin, we're going to set that to auto. And so that's going to center it horizontally. We're going to display as flex. We'll set align items to center. And justify content is going to be space between. We'll set a padding of 1 rem top and bottom, 2 rem left and right, and then a Z index of 1. We want the header to always be on top of anything else. All right, and if you're not familiar with Flex, then I've got some videos on that, as well as Grid. We'll be using that a little bit later on. All right, after that, let's target the anchors in the header. So we'll say header, and then A. For each anchor, we're going to set the text decoration to none. That will get rid of the underline. And then we'll set the color to white. All right, let's save that and see what we have so far. All right, we're getting somewhere. We've got it 80% margin and it's centered. And now we need to work on the actual list. All right, so next we'll target the header UL. So the unordered list, we're going to say list style of none. Get rid of those bullet points. And then we'll target the logo. So the logo is just the name on the left side. And we're going to just give it a little bit of a bigger font size. We'll set that to 2 rem. Let's save that and take a look. All right, a little bit bigger. We got rid of the bullet points. Now let's look at the menu items. The menu items. We're going to display these as flex, and align items is going to be center. Save that, take a look. Now they are all in a row and centered vertically. Next, we'll take a look at each LI. So that's menu items LI. So each list item is going to have a padding, and we'll set 0.5 rim top and bottom, and 1 rim left and right. Right, and let's take a look at that. Okay, so now they're spaced out. Now when we hover over these, we want some sort of an indication that we're hovering. So let's add that next. So we'll target the menu items, LI hover. And we're just going to change the background color. So we'll say background color, and we're going to set that to an orange. All right, we'll save that and take a look. Now when we hover over it, they're orange. You see how the change is instant. It's very drastic. So we want to animate that. So all we have to do is on the LI, we're going to add a transition. So transition, and we're going to transition the background. We'll set a duration of 0.3 seconds, and we'll set an ease in out. Save that and take a look. Now it has a nice fade transition. Next, let's style this section here. We're just going to center it in the middle of the page. Nothing fancy. All right, so this is the section. So we'll target the section. We're going to set a position on this of absolute. Oh, let me spell that correctly. We'll set a top of 0, a left of 0, a width of 100%, a height of 100%. We're going to display flex. Justify content is going to be center. And align items will be center. And text align of center. And then for the H1 itself, we'll say section H1. We're going to set the font family to Titanium Web. And then serif as a fallback. We're going to set the font weight to 700. And then we're going to give it a line height of 6 VW and a color light blue. And then we're going to do a text transform and make it all uppercase. All right, let's save that and take a look. All right, that looks good. Now let's work on the multi-level drop-down menu. So firstly, we'll go back into our HTML, and on the drop-down menu here, we're going to add another list. So let's change this up a little bit, make it a little bit easier to read. All right, so after the anchor, we're going to add a UL with a class of drop-down menu. Within that, an LI, and within the LI, an anchor with the class of menu item. All right, and this isn't going to go anywhere. And we'll just say item 1, Alt Shift down arrow. We'll make 4 total. That's 2, 3, and 4. Now let's style this. Well, before we do, let's take a look. So it looks pretty terrible. So we've got this drop down and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's go back and style this. Let's go up here. We'll just add a comment, drop down. So here we'll target the drop down. And we're going to set this position relative. And then the drop down menu. We'll set position on this of absolute. And we'll set the background to this medium blue. We'll set the width to 100%. We'll set the top to 50 pixels. Left of 0. Opacity is going to be 0. and visibility hidden. Okay, so that's going to make the entire menu disappear. And then we want it to appear when we hover over the correct menu. Let's work on the individual menu item. So that was menu item. We're going to set the display of flex on these. Justify content is going to be space between. And then we'll have a width of 100%. Okay, so now we have to set our hover. When we hover over the element with the class of dropdown, we'll drop down hover. Then we'll set the drop-down menu. We'll change top to 34 pixels. Opacity is going to be 1, and visibility will be visible. All right, let's save that. So initially we're setting the top to 50 pixels and the opacity to 0. And then we're changing top to 34 and the opacity to 1. So that should make it fade in from the bottom up. But what we're hovering over is the element of dropdown, and we never added that. So let's go back to the HTML. And so the dropdown is going to be this li. So we're going to add a class here of dropdown. We'll save that. Now let's take a look. Now when we hover over dropdown, we should see our items. But you see how it's very quick and it doesn't fade? We need to go back into our styles. And then on the drop-down menu, we're going to add another transition. This time we'll say transition all 0.3 seconds, and we'll just set an ease. Let's save that, and let's take a look now. Now as we hover over it, we see it fade in and out. All right, let's work on the multi-level now. We're going to add another menu underneath this third item. So let's go back to our HTML. So on this third item, this is where we're going to use font awesome. So we're going to add an I with the class of FAS and then FA angle right. Let's go ahead and save that and see what we have. There we go. Now we have this angle here indicating that there should be another menu. So after the anchor, we're going to add that menu. So it'll be very similar to this top level menu. We'll have a UL with the class of menu right. We're going to have this one push out to the right. Within that, we'll have an LI and then an anchor with a class of menu item. All right, these won't go anywhere, and we'll just say item 3.1, and then let's Alt-Shift down arrow 3 times. So this will be .2, .3, and .4. All right, let's save that, and of course it's going to look pretty terrible. So we're going to make these actually push out to the right. All right, so let's go to our styles. So drop-down menu and the menu right classes are going to have a lot of stuff in common. We're going to add that here, menu right. So they'll share all of these same things. We want the opacity to be 0. Now, we do want to change the top and the left though. Those are going to be different. So just below that, we'll specifically target the menu right. And then we're going to set the top to 0. And the left is going to start at 110%. That's going to push it a little bit further to the right than it should be. And it's going to fade in from the right to the left. All right, so let's work on that. So we'll go down here. So we need another hover. Now we want to do this when it hovers over the drop-down right class. So drop-down right, and then the menu right. So in here, we'll change the left to 100%, and then the opacity will be 1, and the visibility will be visible. Now again, we're hovering over this specific LI, drop down right, and let's go back to our HTML. So we want that to be this one here, item 3. So on this LI, we're going to add a class. So we're going to add in here drop down and drop down right. Let's save that and take a look. So here's our first level and the second level. And it fades in and out. Perfect. All right, now let's work on the mega menu. All right, we scroll down here. We have our mega menu. So after the anchor within the LI, we're going to add a div with the class of mega menu. Within that, we'll have a div with the class of content. Within that, we're going to have multiple columns. So we'll create a column. Within the column, we'll have a section, and then we'll have an H2. H2 will say featured 1. After that, on the same level, we'll have an anchor with the class of image wrapper. Within that, a span with the class of image, and then an actual image. We're doing all of this because we want to add some zoom animations to the image a little bit later on. So this is the setup for that. All right, alongside this, we're going to have a paragraph, and we'll input some lorem. We'll just do 5 words of lorem here. There we go. And if you haven't noticed, I'm using Emmet to create all of these structures very easily, very quickly. If you're unfamiliar with Emmet, I have a short video on that, and then I go into more detail in my VS Code course. All right, so we've created, with that one line, we've created all of this. So we need this anchor to go nowhere. And then the source of this image, we're going to pull a placeholder picture from Pixum. So it's pixum.photos, and then you tell it the size that you want. And then I have random on here so that we can have multiple images that are all different. So we'll just say random image. All right, so this is one column. We're going to have 4 columns total. So let's create another column after this one. So it's going to be a column, a section, an H2. This will be featured 2, and then a UL. Within that, we're going to have some links. We're going to call them mega links, LI, and an anchor. We'll start with that, see where we're at. That's not going to go anywhere. All right, we'll just say item 1. Let's create 5 of these total. So Alt-Shift down arrow, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's just change these, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now let's create 2 more columns. So we'll just highlight all of this, Alt-Shift down arrow twice. That creates 2 more. So we've got featured 2, featured 3, and featured 4. All right, let's save that. Take a look. It's going to be very ugly. Yeah, it's pretty ugly. So let's work on the styles. All right, we'll go right here. This is going to be the mega menu. All right, so we'll target mega menu. We're going to set a position on this of absolute. It'll have a left of 0, a width of 80 VW, top of 80 pixels. The opacity will be 1, or the opacity will be 0. Visibility will be hidden. And we're going to set a transition, all 0.3 seconds, ease. All right, so you'll notice that a lot of this is the same as the drop-down menu. So after we're done creating everything, something that you could do is go through and find all of the classes that have things that are similar and try to recompile all of this to make it more concise. Because in the end, you never want to repeat yourself. All right, after that, we'll work on the menu content. So that's mega menu, and then content. So we'll add the background color, and that's going to be this darker blue. We're going to add a padding of 1 rem all around. We're going to display this as grid. We're going to create a grid template columns of repeat 4 times 1 FR, 1 fractional unit each. We're going to give them a gap of 1 rem, a width of 100%, and justify content is going to be space between. All right, let's save that and see what we have so far. Well, actually, we're not going to see because we need to hover. Let's go back, and for now, we'll set the opacity to 1. And the visibility, we'll just comment this out. Save that. All right, so far this is what we have. We need to change it up a bit more. Let's work on the columns. So that is content and then column. So we're going to display these as flex. The flex direction is going to be column. Justify content will be space between, and line height is going to be 3 rem. Let's save that and take a look. All right, that spaces these out a little bit. The image is taking up a lot of space, so we'll work on the image now. So we'll say content, and then column, and then image wrapper. We're going to display this as block. We're going to give it a position of relative, a width of 100%, a height of 20 VW. That's right, the height is 20 viewport width. And then overflow, we're going to set to hidden. All right, after that, let's work on the image element between the wrapper and the actual image. So that's the content, column, and then the class of image. We're going to set a position on this of absolute. Top will be 0, right will be 0, bottom will be 0, and left 0. All right, and then lastly, we'll work on the actual image element. So that's content, column, image. We're going to give it a width of 100%. All right, let's save that and take a look now. All right, that is not quite right. Okay, the width here should be 100%, not 10. There we go. That's much better. All right, let's go back over here. Let's work on the H2 next. So right here, we'll say, so content, column, and H2. We're going to set the color to this orange color. We're going to set the font size to 1.2 rem, slightly larger. The line height is going to be 3 rem. And we'll give it a font weight of bold. Save that, take a look. All right, so those are styled now. Let's go back. Let's work on the paragraph. That's content, column, paragraph. We're just going to give it a line height here of 1.2 rem, and then the mega links. So let's target content, column, and then mega links. We're going to add a border to this. So border left is going to be 1 pixel solid, and then this lighter blue color. All right, let's save that and take a look. All right, so we've got this little divider here on the left side now. All right, for the mega links, we're going to change these up a little bit as well. We're going to add some padding. We'll target the column mega links li, as well as the column mega links lia. So on both of these, we want the padding to be 0 top and bottom and 1 rem left and right. Let's save that and take a look. All right, that consolidates it a little bit, kind of squishes them together. All right, so that looks pretty good. Now let's work on the hover. So we'll go back up here and let's uncomment this and let's change this opacity back to 0. So now we're going to say menu items li hover mega menu. We're going to set the top to 50 pixels. The opacity will be 1 and visibility will be visible. All right, let's take a look. Now when we hover over mega menu, there it is. If we refresh, we'll get a new picture. There we go. Now we want this picture when we hover over it to give that zoom effect that I was talking about. So let's work on that. So back up here on the image, let's add a transition. We're going to transition a transform 0.3 seconds, and we'll do ease in out. After that, let's do content column image wrapper hover and then image. Right? So we'll set the image to transform scale. We'll do 1.1. Right? Let's save that. Check it out. So when we go to the mega menu, we hover over it. Why is it not transition? I must have transform. Oh, there we go. Didn't spell it right. Transform. There we go. Now let's try it again. There we go. Now we have a nice little zoom effect when we hover over it. All right, the last mega menu is going to be blog style. So it'll be slightly different. Let's work on that. So we'll go back to our HTML, and then in the blog after the anchor, we're going to add another mega menu. This is also going to have a class of blog. Within that, we'll have our content, our column, and then an anchor with the class of image wrapper, and then a span with the class of image, and then our actual image. After that, we have our h2, and we'll say title, that's where the title will be. After that, we'll have a paragraph with, let's say, lorem 20. And then after that, an anchor with the class of read more. And it will say read more. All right, let's see. All right, these are not going to go anywhere. The source is going to be the same as the one up here. So we have this random. Let's copy that. So there's the source. We're going to set this to random 2. So this will be the second random image. We'll name this random image for the alt. There's our title, and there's our paragraph, and then read more, which is not going to go anywhere. All right, let's save that. So we've got one column here. So let's add some more columns. So we're only going to have 3 columns on this one. So let's take our column, and let's Alt-Shift down arrow twice. So that will create 3 columns. And then let's change the image here so that they're all unique. This will be the 3rd random image, and then the 4th random image. All right, let's save that. All right, let's go to the styles. Okay, so in our mega menu content, we have 4 columns set up. Now on our blog, we only want 3 columns. So after this, we're going to say blog.content. So if it's blog specifically, we're going to set the grid template columns to be repeat 3, 1FR. All right, and then we have our read more. So let's go down to, we could go, let's go right here. We'll say content column read more. And then we're going to set these to display inline block. We're going to give it a padding on the top of 1 rem. Move it down a little bit from the paragraph. We'll set a color of this lighter blue. And we're going to set a transition on the color of 0.3 seconds ease. And then let's go down to our hover. We'll do it down here. So we'll say content column read more hover. We're going to change the color of the font when we hover. So color is going to change to our orange color. All right, let's save that and take a look. All right, so we'll hover over blog. Nice. We hover over these images. They should all zoom because this is still a mega menu. And when we hover over the read more, it turns to orange. Nice. So I used a lot of Emmet in this video, and that's one of the great built-in features of VS Code. And if you want to learn more about how VS Code can make your coding life better, check out my VS Code Superhero course. The link will be in the description below. That's going to be it for this video. Like this video to help me out, and subscribe if you haven't already for more videos like this.